I'll tell you one thing that's actually different now than it used to be, and now it just seems commonplace, but I think it merits pointing out. Call centers are now today do a much better job of closing the uncertainty gap, which is one of the key principles in my new book. This idea that customers hate to wait, and I'm sure we'll talk about that, but the thing they hate second most is an information asymmetry. So when the business has more information than the customer, that creates a lot of anxiety. And it didn't used to matter. Like again, back in the day, we were okay with not having information because we didn't have the internet in our pocket all the time. So my wife and I were watching TV the other night, and Cher came on, and my wife says, "How old is Cher?" And I'm like, "I don't know, pretty old." So I just asked Siri, and Siri said that Cher was 78. And I'm like, man, props to Cher and her plastic surgeon. But then I thought, okay, in days gone by, what would it have required to determine how old Cher was? And I was like, okay, in the pre-internet times, you would have to get in your car and go to a library, right? And ask a librarian who might have a book on actors and their birthdays, right? And so it would have taken like legit low key, like, I don't know, 2 hours to answer that question. And of course, nobody would do that. And so in those days, what we would say was, it was an amazing phrase. You almost never hear it now. I don't know. You would just say, I don't know. It is apparently unknowable how old Cher is. And people were totally okay with that. Like, I don't know was an acceptable response to almost any query. And of course, today it's not acceptable because you can get that information. You can just talk into your phone or any number of other interfaces to access it. And that idea of omnipresent information really makes a huge difference in call centers and with customer experience, because when people don't know what's on the other side, it freaks them out now because they're just not used to it. So where I'm getting at is, it wasn't that long ago that when you would be on phone hold, for example, in a call center, you would just hear the initial recording, which is, hey, calls are answered in the order in which they are received. And to me, this is an aside, but to me, that's like the funniest thing I've ever heard, because I always ask myself the same question. What was the second choice for the sequence in which calls would be answered? Instead of in the order they are received, we're going to answer calls by height and weight. Like, what was the backup idea? By lifetime value? I don't know. It always makes me laugh. But now, of course, when you call, they always tell you, you know, expect 11 minutes or whatever. They give you a time quote as to when they think you're going to answer your call. And that little change in call center behavior is massively important in terms of closing the uncertainty gap around what is this interaction going to require. Or now, of course, we've taken the next step, which is we'll call you back, etc. There's a lot of other technologies, but just the very fact that it wasn't that long ago, if you're on hold, you would have no idea. It might be 2 minutes, it might be 2 hours. We won't tell you how long it's going to be. And so you had to be like, I guess I'll clear my schedule. And that created a ton of anxiety. And so over time, I think call centers are doing a better job of keeping customers informed as to what that exact interaction might feel like, which brings the anxiety down and I think yields better outcomes.